Almost a decade after its defeat in the Gulf War, British and American planes still bomb Saddam Hussein's Iraq practically every day, and the country remains crippled by the UN trade blockade.
Iraq has cheated and lied in terms of its dealings with the United Nations and the international community. And given this record of double dealing, I have to say that I would be very surprised if they had given up their desire to have weapons of mass destruction or their habit of lying and cheating to the international community.
Madeleine Albright might also have said that what she and the rest of the West cannot understand is how Saddam stays in power. What outsiders see is that for 31 years, Saddam Hussein has led the Iraqi people down a trail of wars, death, and misery. Yet, not only do they put up with him, every year the entire nation rejoices, celebrating what it calls Saddam's Christmas. Why? April 28th, Tikrit, Iraq, Saddam's birthplace. He is 62 today, and the people stage a festival. Along with other foreigners, we are invited to see how Iraq is doing. The cake, which gets bigger every year, is cut by Vice President Aziz Brahim and Deputy Prime Minister Tarek Aziz. The first slice is for Saddam himself, but he has stayed away for security reasons. His cake is whisked away by limousine.
The celebrations on the birthday of the president started in the 80s. It was spontaneous. It was not organized by the government or by the party. And then it became a popular tradition. Till now, it is not an official occasion in the sense that it's not a holiday. People make these activities to show their love and support to their leader. Dictatorship is a dubious word, you see. We came after a military rule here, before the Arab Ba'ath Socialist Party led the revolution in 1968. So we did not change a democratic system into a dictatorial system. There was a military system in Iraq. And then instead of that military system, which was run by a handful of generals, now it is run by hundreds of thousands of civilians, of people from all walks of society, peasants, workers, intellectuals, etc., etc. So in the case of Iraq, this is a democratic evolution, a democratic development.
President Saddam Hussein has become the symbol of all the Iraqis' resistance and their refusal of American dictates. We do not want to be recolonized by America, Great Britain, or any other colonial power. And the president, who has always refused foreign dictates, has become our symbol. That is why on his birthday, we want to tell the whole world that we are close to our president. We don't want to change him just because America no longer wants him.
Women are Saddam's strongest supporters, as he has given them their freedom in Muslim Iraq. It is not compulsory to wear the veil, and most of all, he permitted divorce with shared responsibility, as well as giving them the right to alimony. Neighboring monarchies follow Islamic law, and women are still stoned to death. In this part of Baghdad, called Saddam City, we find one of Iraq's model schools. The children already have a well-developed political sense, though the West might call it brainwashing.
It's a great day, important to all the Iraqis. Our president, may God protect him, protects all of us. He's irreplaceable despite all the blah blah outside. Has this book lasted the 9 years of embargo? It's clean, in good condition, and all that is thanks to our president. Look, that's thanks to the president and his progressive policies. Before the revolution, 80% of the Iraqis were illiterate. People didn't know how to read or write. And the president, may God protect him, has decreed a law for adult literacy. Just see what an impact this giant revolutionary measure has had. I am a Kurd from northern Iraq, and I speak for all the honest Kurds, not the traitors. We accept Saddam Hussein, may God protect him, as president, and we don't want another one. The president, may God protect him, is a nationalist. He supports the Arab world and Islam. That's why Iraq has been attacked. Our country is the stronghold of freedom in the world.
But why do Iraqis love Saddam Hussein so much? We asked a veteran who has been wounded 3 times in previous wars. Before the revolution, it was a weak country because of British colonization, because of the British and Zionist traitors who controlled the country. We weren't civilized before. We were ignorant. There was no school, no army. But we got everything after the revolution. The buildings, the hospitals, the schools, the mosques. It's difficult today with the embargo. It's tiring, but it's still better than before the revolution. Today, all honest Iraqis love their president. If the average Iraqi likes Saddam Hussein, it is probably because he helped to create a middle class that did not exist before. Today, because of the UN trade blockade, this middle class feels persecuted by America. The embargo prevents Iraq from selling its oil and importing supplies without UN permission. Increasingly, the population is feeling its effects. The impact is greatest on the poor, who celebrate the birthday less enthusiastically. It's a family celebration. We go out a bit. But with the embargo, water and electricity supplies have been cut off because of the embargo. The embargo America imposed on us. It's a despotic embargo. An apocalyptic situation. Electricity is cut off every 3 hours. Water is no longer drinkable since purifying stations have been bombed and have not been repaired. To their parents' despair, many children from poor families are required to leave school and earn their living, just like in any third world country. Life is hard for the children. I don't have the money to buy them clothes to wear to school because of the embargo. This boy doesn't go to school anymore, neither does that one. They couldn't continue going to school. They were sent away from school. They keep the well-dressed ones. They send away the others, like mine. People have little or no money because of the economic situation and the currency collapse caused by the embargo. The dinar, which used to be worth $3, has fallen well below 1 cent. At the exchange counters, the price of the dinar goes up. You are given a bag to carry your notes in. This client is changing $100, and in exchange, he will receive 225,000 dinars.
200,000 and 25,000. This is 100,000.
Is it different every day?
Yes, different.
What makes the difference? What? Every hour difference?
Yes.
How
Every minute difference.
Where do you find the rate?
We check the market in the area called Kifah. And then in every minute we check the market.
At the Kifah market, one of the oldest stock exchanges in the world, dollars are sold at public auctions, which determine the exchange rate for the entire country. People welcome us warmly, but they cannot grasp what is happening to them. With these $500, an American symbol, an entire family can live for several years. Currency exchange dealers in Kifah simply weigh the money, much faster than counting it. My salary used to be 60 dinars, and that was enough to live well. People help me now. They're generous. Thanks be to God and Islam that recommends charity. God willing, and with Saddam Hussein's help, we are going to chase the Americans out of our country and put an end to all that. I have 10 children, and there's me and my parents. How can I possibly feed everyone? I need 4,000 dinars a day now. 1 dinar used to be enough for me and my family. Today, 4,000 is not enough. We can't even eat meat. Today, a kilogram of meat, about 2 pounds, costs the equivalent of a civil servant's monthly salary. There is no chance of buying any. In the poorer families, despite the monthly food tickets distributed by the government, malnutrition is common. Even vegetables are too expensive. Things were good before, not anymore. We would like to eat, but we have no food. We have no dinner, no lunch. We ate well before the embargo. There was work and money, and today there's nothing. There's nothing left today. Nothing. No money, nothing. One day we work, and one day we don't. At the Armenian church in Baghdad, religious leaders all insisted on meeting us in order to voice their protests against the embargo. The Christian community is relatively well off, but they too are beginning to suffer because of the embargo.
This is not a human situation, you know. This is against, it is something, it's an effect which is against humanity. Human beings should not make other human beings suffer. And this is a, you know, it's also against Christianity.
This picture is about 40 years old, so we have it in our church during, when we start build this church. This picture shows that Jesus of Christ, he came and knocked the door of UN to do peace in the world. And Jesus of Christ, he came for peace for the world, and he said always, make peace, but nobody heard this word, and they start war in all the world.
We implore, we ask people of goodwill to do their best in trying to lift the embargo. Because of a situation like this, when people suffer, the church cannot remain silent.
The Oil for Food program set up by the UN seems to work badly, or rather only in favor of a few hustlers who sell the goods on the black market. At the Saddam Children's Hospital, Iraq's pediatric center, there is no equipment, nothing. Yet according to the non-governmental organizations, it's the best hospital in Iraq. At the hospital pharmacy, only 2 kinds of medicine are available, and there are no antibiotics. And there's very little to eat in the emergency ward. On the menu tonight, dried bread and water. The doctors are depressed. There's not much they can do, and a number of them have committed suicide.
Malnutrition is our problem in general. We have a limited number of the machinery because we can't get it from the outside. This is a ventilator. In our department only 1 ventilator, and we need about because of the large number of the beds in our department, we need about 3 ventilators. But we have only one in this department and the outside department, the casualty unit number 1. I am a student in the medical for 6 years. I not see rare number. I see a rare number of these cases, but at the past 9 years, we see a lot of cases because of the malnutrition. This is the one of our cases. This case also a case of the malnutrition, marasmic child, underweight child. This child need a new medication, and we can't get this is a new medication. We tell his mother to get it from the outside, and she can't get it. because it's not available in the pharmacy. All of them is dehydrated, they are vomiting, and marasmic child because of the malnutrition, and some of them is asthmatic child, bronchial asthma, and respiratory chest infection, repeated respiratory chest infection, also because of the malnutrition in our country.
In this new hospital, there is nothing left. No medicine, little electricity, patients no longer separated, an air conditioning system that doesn't work. Baghdad's best hospital is a place to die. When you come in with one illness, you stand a good chance of catching another.
The Iraqi healthcare system was one of the best in the region, and even on international standards before 1990. It deteriorated because of the sanctions. We are not allowed to import our needs, and we don't have the resources to import our needs when we are allowed.
Within the Oil for Food program, there is obviously a health program. So medicines are coming into the country. But unfortunately, there are some inefficiencies within the program. Complexities at every level. 4,000 children have been dying every month since '91. By now, there have been 1.5 million deaths. This is unacceptable. We cannot really confirm these figures until we've carried out a serious study, and that's what we're doing at the moment.
We know that the mortality each week is extremely high. I think it's over 20 times what it used to be before the embargo. And I think to recuperate an acceptable situation will take a very long time.
If 1.5 million cats or dogs were dying in Europe or America, it would be dramatic. But 1.5 million Iraqi children under the age of 5, it doesn't matter. They're only Arabs, Muslims. It doesn't count. That's racism. And when they talk of human rights over there, it's out of pure hypocrisy.
This recent decision by President Saddam not to accept help from non-government organization or also from some government creates several problems. We have been trying to introduce supplies in the form of drugs and technologies, and it's been extremely difficult.
No, we have not refused the work of the NGOs in Iraq. It depends. If the NGOs are honest, they are not pro-American and they are not instruments used by the CIA, as was the case in some of them in the north, especially, we allow them to work. But what kind of work? What Iraq needs is not to bring a small shipment of food or a small shipment of medicine. What Iraq needs is rehabilitation of its infrastructure. We don't want those who treat Iraq as if it is a refugee camp. Iraq is not a refugee camp. Iraq is a state. Iraq is a nation. If you want to help, you have to help the whole nation.
At the Saddam Medical City Center, an entire department is dedicated to leukemia, an illness that did not exist in this area before the war. The doctors are ill-equipped to treat these new diseases, and rumors are mixed into the diagnosis.
As his son told me, there is atomic bombs outside of the city. History of radiation, positive. There is radiation. Actually, before Fox Desire, there is no registered case of leukemia in this central city. After the war, start to increase, markedly increase number of patients with leukemia. Statistics state that there is community medicine statistic analysis. There is raise in radiation material in our area, which means contamination, and make the incidence of leukemia in our country more than 8 per or 800.
So the very unfortunate thing and the pity thing in this war is that all these leukemic children and those who are having malignancy will die in the next few weeks or few months. So all of them will be buried within the next few weeks because we have a cure rate of nearly 0%. No one has survived this malignancy. This is due to the lack of the appropriate supportive measure, cytotoxic therapy, and the lack of the bone marrow transplant, which is their last hope for cure. This is reaching a 50 or 55% chance of cure in the outside world, but it is not introduced to us until now.
Why such new diseases have appeared in the society? There should be a reason, and the reason is the war. First of all, the use of depleted uranium by the Americans and the British in their attacks against Iraq. This had a very bad consequences on the health of the whole nation.
We have photos of children who become ill, deformities, all kinds of cancers. I have photos taken by a group of Japanese journalists. They're so dramatic. I don't know if you can show them. We see the same symptoms in veterans' children born after the war. We see them in Chernobyl too, and the Marshall Islands, where nuclear tests were carried out. It's a known fact that it's caused by nuclear radiation.
Sigvard Horst Gunther, a German doctor, published a book on these children deformed as a result of the weapons using depleted uranium. The World Health Organization is preparing a report on this subject. It will be available in 2 years. This evening, at a concert organized by the Russian petrol company Ecoil, a Russian symphony orchestra will play Prokofiev and Rachmaninoff in honor of the president's birthday. In May 1999, Deputy Prime Minister Tarek Aziz organized an international conference protesting the embargo. Several subjects were on the agenda, such as health, agriculture, and food, but mainly politics. Among the delegates are a number of NGOs, politicians, and business opportunists, but most find the situation shocking. Nothing really justifies this embargo because if we go back a bit to August 1990, the United Nations said that Iraq invaded Kuwait. And now, since January or February 91, Iraq is out of Kuwait. It pulled out of Kuwait, so in principle, there's no justification for this crime.
تلجأ إلى التصرف بشكل منفرد ومن ذلك استخدام قوة الغشم. They continued the war, you see. So the aim was not, the objective was not Kuwait, but the objective, as I said, was to destroy Iraq, weaken Iraq, change the leadership of Iraq, and take over the whole region.
The conference is a melting pot of Italians, Indians, Cubans, Sudanese, Russians, Ukrainians, Algerians, Tunisians, and others. The lawyer Jacques Verges is a member of the French delegation. He is best known for his defense of the Nazi Klaus Barbie, the terrorist Carlos, and as a supporter of third world causes. The Americans compare the regime here to Hitler's. I do the opposite. I compare the American regime to Hitler's, saying that in terms of destructive power, it's gone beyond what Hitler did. Free copies of Saddam Hussein's writings are available at the conference, including his pamphlet on democracy. The Iraqis deny they are living under a dictatorship. The Russian extreme right-wing member of the Duma, Vladimir Zhirinovsky, is there too. He launches the Third World War.
На нем он дал четкое и жесткое указание резко усилить мощь ракетных войск России. Если американцы не остановятся и агрессия против Ирака и Югославии превратится в Третью мировую войну, а это является и главной целью заставить Россию начать вступить в войну. И Третья мировая идет уже 10 лет и, наконец, перешла на европейский континент. والحرب العالمية الثالثة بدأت منذ 10 سنوات والآن بدأت في أوروبا هذه الحرب. Если нас заставят принять участие, وإذا أجبرونا على المشاركة في هذه الحرب, то мы не можем, как американцы, просто кидать ракеты в неизвестном направлении. نحن لا نستطيع مثل الأمريكان أن نطلق فقط الصواريخ في اتجاهات غير معروفة. Наши ракеты попадают точно в цель в любой точке планеты. صواريخنا ستسقط في الأهداف المحددة لها في أي منطقة من مناطق العالم. И американцы этого боятся. والأمريكان
We announce, and this is nothing new, that President Saddam Hussein, may God protect him, has become president not only of the Iraqi people, but president of all Arabs from the Atlantic to the Gulf. It's clearly a whole nation that's being threatened. Remember the American declarations at the start of the Vietnam War. General Westmoreland said, "We're going to take them back to the Stone Age." Here, at their last meeting, Mr. Baker said to Mr. Tarek Aziz, "You underestimate our strength, and we can take you back to the Stone Age."
He told me, if you don't obey the instructions of the Security Council immediately, unconditionally, we will bring you back to the pre-industrial age, and another leadership is going to decide the future of Iraq. And if you look at what happened in the war, which was done under the name of the United Nations, the war aimed at destroying Iraq.
A state can have problems with another state. And the Iraqi people, how are they responsible? Why are they being killed every day? 2 days ago, American and British planes bombed a part of Mosul. A whole family was killed. But how is that family responsible for what's happening? How are the Iraqi children responsible for what's happening? How are the families from El Jamiria who were burnt to death responsible? This is a crime against humanity. The aftermath of one of the ongoing raids by US and British planes. The Iraqis have an answer to the riddle, when is a war crime not a war crime? When it's committed by a superpower.
هذا هو أحد أنواع التحدي.
Here is proof of the attack on Iraq Fragments of the bomb that destroyed the old tower that was 90 meters high. The new tower is the Tower of Challenge, which is 203 meters high, and it's the highest tower in the Middle East. They are the ones who took part in the attack. Jaber from Kuwait, Margaret Thatcher, Bush, and Fahd. Here are some fragments of American missiles. You can see very clearly where it comes from. Baghdad itself is a symbol of Iraq's defiance of the West. The city has been totally rebuilt. All buildings destroyed during the Gulf War and even during Operation Desert Fox in December 1998 are once again as good as new.
Every family has lost someone because of the blockade and, of course, because of the attacks that are still going on. So every one of us is in personal and national mourning.
Grandiose symbolic monuments have been dedicated to the dead and to unknown soldiers. An anchor reminds the Iraqis that they are a maritime nation whose access to the sea has been cut off, that for 6,000 years Kuwait and its ocean access belonged to them. The present battle is a cultural one. The whole Iraqi population is heir to a past. And Saddam Hussein embodies the living relationship between the present and the past. To promote Iraqi pride in its heritage, Saddam Hussein had King Nebuchadnezzar's mythical city of Babylon rebuilt. The king destroyed Jerusalem 6 centuries before Christ.
We know well that Babel, it was a great city, and it was a capital, and it was a symbol. Our leader Saddam Hussein, he liked his history and he liked his civilization. So he insists to protect our history and to relive this great culture as it was in the past. Before 15 years ago, the Iraqi government, they tried to make a reconstruction for this building, and you see now the difference between the ancient and the new. Nebuchadnezzar's people, they love him too much because he was a great king, and he tried to liberate them from the Assyrian, from their enemies in the past. So the same thing happened now, and we can say that the history regained its life again. Our leader Saddam Hussein, he's similar with Nebuchadnezzar, equal in his job. So he tried to liberate the Iraqi people from our invaders, and he's thinking to make a nice future for his people.
At the office of Ba'ath Party theorist Ilyas Frah, there is another portrait next to President Saddam's, that of the Syrian Michel Aflaq, the deceased founder of the Ba'ath. There are a lot of portraits. That doesn't mean that it's a sort of personality cult. The answer is nothing like that. During a war, society needs its unity. It needs a symbol that embodies that unity. Saddam Hussein's portrait is even at the Shiite Saints' Mosque in Baghdad. The tomb of the first Imam is a place of pilgrimage for all Shiite Muslims. A place that the Iranians wanted to own, and which was one of the main causes of the Iran-Iraq war. It was around that time that the president Saddam was found to have a saintly heritage. This tree represents Saddam Hussein's family tree. It begins with Imam Ali, Imam Hussein, Zine el-Abdin, Imam Ahmed el-Bahar, Imam Jafar el-Sadek, Imam Musa el-Kazem, the Imam who's buried here. So our president's origins go back as far as the Prophet's family. Our president is in fact a direct descendant of Prophet Muhammad's family.
اللهم احفظ بلادنا واحفظ شعبنا شعب العراق واحفظ قائدنا المفدى السيد الرئيس صدام حسين قال لفتاه آتنا غداءنا لقد لقينا من سفرنا
صدام حسين صدام عظيم كل شعب يا صدام.
The party for the president's birthday continues well into the night. Shops sell an infinite variety of souvenirs, all bearing the president's effigy. Strangely, the photos are never the same.
They want to watch and this badge, like this, you put it here. And I have this carpet also. You can on the wall, or you can put it, I have stands, you can put it on. It's very nice. And I have this also, another one. Every family, there is like this, and big picture, they put it in a good place in the hall. I love it too much. All here.
Yemenite students celebrate the president's birthday with the Bahat Party. Very few journalists have been able to penetrate a Bahat Party cell, but they are friendly to us. In Iraq today, the Bahatis still want to win the war.
ثوروا العباس والحسين. أنا اليوم الذي أطلق فيه العراقيون 39 صاروخا على تل أبيب هزت معاقلهم وشلت حركتهم وأرعبتهم. أنا اليوم الذي ما زلت أنتظر الصاروخ 40 من باقي الدول العربية، وإن لم يأتي فسأنجب يوم علم خالد آخر، ولن يطلق فيه الصاروخ 40 وحسب، بل سيحرق تل أبيب من أقصاها إلى أقصاها بهمة المجاهدين وهمة حفيد الحسين القائد صدام حسين.
President Saddam Hussein is the president of Iraq, and therefore, as a president, all the Iraqis are very happy about this situation. Celebrations such as this alleviate the pain that the people are feeling, and this is the way I think people see in him the person who is able to withstand all that pressure, and therefore, through these kinds of celebrations, the people somehow come out of their difficulties and are happy for whatever God's gifts on us through his person can become.
The enemy is using the embargo to try to kill the Iraqi people. On the contrary, today, after 9 years of embargo, we are making an even greater effort towards unity and solidarity, and we still support our president, Saddam Hussein, in our country. The Gulf War ended almost a decade ago, when Saddam was only 54. The question seems to be, is the entire nation being punished because it still rejoices on his birthday?